Hello everyone, welcome to SAP Technomaniac. In this video, we will discuss about different aspect of the CDSU performance and our RAP application performance. Before starting, I just want to tell one real-time incident happened with me. I have developed one RAP application, the read-only application that was, and it was working with including all the functionalities which I have included in development system perfectly, and my application was executing within few seconds in development system. What happened as soon as I moved my code to the quality and my functional guys are telling I'm not able to load my application itself. It is taking 5 minutes to load that particular same application which was running smoothly in development system. I got surprised and I saw it was really taking 5 minutes to load that particular application. I thought there might be issue with the system or something else. But I went further and figured it out. Only my CDS view itself taking that much time. The browser response type within few milliseconds, but my CDS is taking to get the data. The consumption CDS taking that get the data approximately 4 minutes and 30 seconds. I got what it is happening. I thought. Then I realized that the table which I'm using, those tables have used data. The same table in development system having only thousands data, but the same table in quality system having number of records in the millions and billions. It is causing drastic performance issue. And then I realized when I developed my application, I considered all the functionality. I make sure that my functionality worked perfectly, but I didn't focus on the performance thing at all. So then one by one, again I went through my application. I checked my model. I used the appropriate annotations. I took the ST05 trace, and after following this all the steps, again I moved my code multiple times. It didn't happen one time. First time when I moved, it came from 5 minutes to 2.5 minutes. Second time when I moved, it came to 30 seconds. I was able to execute the same application. I load the application 30 seconds. But it was fine with the user because same application they were not able to run in the GUI. That particular report, they were not able to run in the GUI at all. If they execute that report, they will get dumped. But at least I was able to fetch the data without any filtration within the 30 seconds. So they got very happy. I will say you those all the things what I have done in that application with you guys. So let's get started. First, we will start with why we need the CDS performance. Nowadays, everywhere is the CDS. If you develop any RAP application, that is the CDS. Even you are working in lesser version, S4HANA version 2020 and less, there also we create the CDS and then go to the SEJW. Apart from that, if you go to the analytics SAC, there also you need CDS. You go in BW, there also you need the CDS to data fetching. Everywhere for the data modeling, SAP using only CDS. So that is the reason we need to talk about the performance of the CDS. It will, especially when you work in the front-end UI5 or Fiori applications, if you are not able to load your application within few seconds, then user will get frustrated. What the application you have developed, this is not working at all. Why I have to wait for the 2 minutes, 3 minutes or 5 minutes to loading that applications? Those all the things we have to see, obviously. For that, SAP provided lot of tools and lot of things which we will discuss one by one. So the most of the things are these are the three things we have to consider. First things, how you prepare your data model. That is very important thing. When you prepare your data model, you should have the base CDS views, where you are only fetching the data. You should not do any calculations. You should have proper association mechanism. You should not make all the joins unnecessary until unless it is really required. You have to use the associations. As you already know, the association form the join when really we are fetching the data from that particular table. Otherwise, it will not fetch the table. And we have to use association. Those also expose the association in our base series view. You should have main table and related fields, whatever the data we want to fetch. For example, we have the one sales order table, we are creating the base CDSU VBAK. Then in the sales order VBAK and VBAP table, the material we are having the material related data we want to get from the MAKT, from the MARD, other details. Then we have to use the associations for them. Those are for getting the other details from the other CDS. So those all the things when we are doing the modeling we have to make sure. In base CDS, no calculations. In the integration CDS, you have to do all the calculation, and the consumption CDS only you have to fetch the data which is really required. We will discuss these all the points further. And second thing, CDS performance annotations. We have the object model annotations. We will discuss in detail. And third thing, this the if your application is not working perfectly or it is taking a lot of time, how you can analyze which CDS is really taking time. That is also very useful. Sometimes you followed about 2 points, but still the performance are not good. That you can find out using the ST05. Or with me the happen same thing. I followed about 2 things. It came from 5 to 2.5 seconds, but still from 2.5 to make my application to 30 seconds, that ST05 and plan will help me. That also I will show you. So first start with our modeling part. Your base CDSU, the most important thing, only you should have that the data fetching part. You should not do any calculation, only data retrieval you should do, as I told you. Second thing, integration CDS, where you creating on top of the base CDS. We have created the GI in our application, GI PTP process order, GI RAM process order. So in this case, whenever we are developing this kind of application, all the case statement, all the casting what you want to do, all the altering of the data and calculating the new fields which is really required, those we have to do in the interface CDSU. Unnecessary calculation, always don't do anything in the base CDSU as well as interface CDS. If something is not required really, you should not do those application at all, because each and every operation you are performing in your CDS, it will take time when the database execute or run that particular CDS. So you have to make sure whatever you are writing is really needed. The case statement writing is really needed. Sometimes you unnecessarily cast the variable. If we have quantity already means 3 means 18 decimal 3, you again casting in the same type. Sometimes we do unnecessarily, and sometimes we add and forgot to remove. Those will also take the time when you when you execute those applications in the production system. So you have to make sure really required calculation only you have to do in your integration. Finally, if I talk about the consumption CDSU, again in the consumption CDSU, also in the base CDSU we can have a lot of functionalities, because base CDSU you can use in multiple applications, but consumption CDSU really required field, those only you have to use. If you have the behavior definition, only really required functionality you have to include in your consumption behavior. So those things you have to make sure. Sometimes same application, for example, I have converted one ALV report to our ALV list report page application. What happened in ALV? They faced all the things and displayed in front end 40 fields. User required or not required, layout is having 30 field or 40 field. They are not making sure. They just face the data, put in the front end. You can display 40 field or 20 field. It's not matter. But real time, when we develop this kind of application, some user need 20 fields, some other user might be they have 10 field common, but they are using the another 10 field. Their 20 field is different. So when we are fetching the each and every field from the integrations view, the join will form. Until unless we will not fetch those data, the join will not form. So if we put all the fields in my consumption CDS view, then each time even that particular user is not using those all the fields, the join will be formed. The all the data processing will happen in the database layer, and then we will get the final data and filter out at the consumption layer, and then it will be displayed. It's not required. So what all are the fields really needed for the user? We can pick again my consumption layer in multiple applications. You can just have to create the multiple consumption views and UI annotations for one user which is using the 20 field, another user another 20 field. Might be 10 fields are common, but this 10 fields and this 10 fields are having separate performance aspect. This 10 fields might be having performance intensive calculations, and it take more times for why the another user have to wait for those particular 10 fields. So that we have to think it out and then properly design our application and give to the front end user. This is very important. Sometimes you would think that when I initially developed this kind of application, I will show you also in the consumption layer, even I have those fields, but in front end I'm not fetching those fields, it will not calculate it. But this will not happen since you have the consumption CDSU, which is getting the data from the interface layer. You already formed the join at the interface view, and now you are filtering the data at the consumption layer. So you should not do like that. Until unless those fields are not needed, you should not fetch in your consumption layer. That is very important thing. This one thing, this all things about the whenever you develop your application, you have to think it out properly. You design, then you can do those things. The same thing happened with me. I thought initially in the consumption view we can have 40 field, but in the front end I'm fetching the 20 fields only. Join will not form, but it is not the case, because join already you are forming at the interface layer. You already calculated your all the data. If you fetch 40 field, the calculation will happen for the 40 field at the interface layer as well. So you have to make sure whenever you are developing your application. The next aspect is the annotations. This is again very important thing. Initially I realized SAP is by default giving the mixed category, and the size category is small, and the service quality is by default X. Why I have to change? CDS view entity given I use for each and every CDS view and move to quality. That happened the 5 minutes. As soon as I changed those annotations and my model design, it came to 2 minutes or 2.5 minutes. So what happened if you don't define your data category? There are 3 main annotations. I forgot to put the screenshot. Let me put the screenshot and come back. I have put a screenshot. You can see these are the important annotations. So first annotation is the data class. So in this case, by default, whenever you create the view entity, the by default annotations is given is for data class is the mixed category. But let me go to the system and show you guys. That will be better. But you should understand this data class means the mixed category. What is the transactional category? You should able to differentiate what is transactional data, what is master data, what is organizational data, what is customizing data, metadata, and mixed data. Transactional data, like we are in our application which we have developed, we are getting the data from AFKO, AFPO. Those are the transactional data. AFVC, AFVV. These data change day by day. We create the operation, we create the process order, we change the process order, header, line item. These are all the transactional data. These come under the transactional data. Some of them are the master data, like we have the material master data to get the material description, plant level data. Those all are the master data which will not change frequently, which we already all the things know. Again is the customizing data, which again have the detail of the customization. For example, when we develop our new systems, then how may this particular plant, this sales org have how many plants, then this plants have how many sub plants. This kind of information, we have the structural information, those we can have in the customizing data as well. And the customer specific information, we can say that is the customizing. Each customer have those details differently. Then we have the organizational data, then the metadata, data about data, and last is the mixed category. If you are fetching the data from the multiple tables, some of are the transactional, some of are the master, some of are the organizational, some of customization, any one of them combination, then we have to use the mixed data category also. So these are the data category. These all things we already know. Now what will happen based on this, when you provide this detail in the annotation of the CDS, when this particular view will be executed on database, if you have given only the transactional data, then system already know this is the transactional data, it is frequently changed and it will be stored in this particular area only. I have to run this particular processing here only. If you give the correct detail, the same CDS, if you don't give the correct detail and if you give the correct detail, you will get the performance improvement. That is again because when database optimizer work, it will take this information and run your query accordingly. If you have the only master data, that will be stored in the different place, it will run, the database engine will run to get the master data only, and it will work perfectly. If you have mixed category, then it will already know that there will be mixed category, I have to search for this two particular area or multiple areas I have to search. But if you don't give the proper information to the database optimizer, it will generally search everywhere, wherever it can find. It try to figure out which is the transactional data, this table is transactional data or this is master data, and lot of things it will do. It will consume time there. If you give those information correctly, it will work perfectly. Again, you have not given the information correctly. For example, you have the master data and you have given transactional data. Again, there also it will take time because it will search entire master data, then it will go for the other things. So you have to give the proper information. When you give the proper information, your CDS will work perfectly. Second thing, the size category. Size category always matter whenever we are fetching the data. If you have the small size, it will allocate the memory accordingly. If you have bigger size, it will allocate the memory accordingly after the data execution. Means how many data in your table is available where your CDS data fetching from. Based on that, you have to give your size category. If you have given small and if you have used data, initially it will give little memory, then it realize database it have more data, then it will give more, little bit more, then little bit more. It will consume again time. So if you give properly size category, then it will help database optimizer to run query efficiently. The most important thing, this is the service quality, where we come and everybody get confused. Everybody know that if you give A, it will work perfectly. If you give B, little bit lesser, C, little bit lesser, D, little bit lesser. If you give X, that will be performance will be not that much good. But we can't give for each and every CDS data category as A. If you give each and every CDS data category is A, which really data optimizer realize it is I can't execute as A, it should be B or C. Again, it will take time. So how you have to decide your service quality should be A and B? Again, SAP given the guideline, we have to follow that guideline. If you give based on the guideline the service quality, you will get the better performance. But if your CDS falling under the C category and you are giving A, definitely it will not gonna help you. It will worse again. It's same thing if you have master data and you are giving the transactional data. So you have to think it out that what is your CDS falling in, what category. When we have to use, that is again one different thing. When you have to use really A, but if it is for example you have high transactional, high volume of data in particular table, then you can go for A. If you don't have high volume of data, then you can go for the further. But even if you don't have high volume of data and your CDS is falling in category A, you can go, not an issue. But you have to fall what category your CDS is falling in. That is very important. If you are not giving appropriately, that all the points I will discuss in next slide, but you have to make sure that based on the accurate category, you have to give your CDS service quality. B generally we use for the transactional data. C when we query the individual object. D for the analytical queries where we have the lot of tables. And X generally we can give if something we don't know, by default we will give the X. And P we never use for the real time. Most of the time we have to use A to D for each and every CDS. How we will decide which one should be A, which one should be B? This is again the guideline given by SAP. I did simply F1 on the annotation. I got this detail and I have put in the tabular format. That's it. Nothing. I didn't do anything. I didn't edit anything from my side. First thing, if you have one CDS which is having the 3 tables or less than 3 table, then only you can use A. In this, you have to make sure that associations are not you should not calculate the tables in which is having in associations. Suppose you have one CDS, we have 2 table and we have further associations to the another CDS which is having another tables. You should not consider the association detail in this part when you give the service quality. Suppose you are fetching the data from the 3 table and further you have n number of associations. You should not consider those associations table when you give the service quality. In this CDS, when you execute without any association, how many tables are there? That you have to consider. So if you have less than equal to 3 table, you can definitely go for A, but before that there are the some of the things you have to make sure. You should not function call, any function call should not be there. Important, you should not use any case statement, cast expression, division. Though a lot of functions, SQL functions are there, aggregation functions, string functions, those should not be there. Second thing, aggregation of large table you are doing, you should not do the aggregation of the last table. For example, one table you are aggregating the data, there also you can't use the function calls are not allowed. You are doing the last table aggregation, those also not allowed. Function calls means aggregated functions are different, and other string function, case statement, call as functions. There are a lot of functions, currency conversion functions which we can use in CDS. Those function calls are there, then you should not use the size category as a service quality as a. And you should have less than equal to 3, then should be buffered. If underlying table is buffered, then your CDS also should be buffered. And apart from that, this particular, if you are fetching the sum of the fields, then you will be get your result within 1 millisecond, irrespective of how much data you are having in the database. This will come to the another point which I have faced in my real-time project. When I was running this application with the filter and without the filter, the time was same. With the filter, if I put the plant filter or work center filter in the front end application, then also it was taking within the 30 second, very minimal difference. It will be 5-6 second difference will be there, very minimal. If you put filter or without filter, you run the query on the entire data, that time also it was giving the same, taking the same amount because of the service quality which we were using. If you are getting all the fields, then it will take 2 milliseconds and is highly efficient. But to make highly efficient, you should follow all the things. If you are not following this any one of the things, and you are using lot of functions in the CDS and you are given service quality A, definitely it will worse the CDS view execution, because that should fall under D and you have given A. Obviously it will try with A, then C. It will try to optimize, but still it will take, and after executing with the A quality, it will realize it is not fallen under A. Then you try to find out which service quality it fall into, or by default it will give X if it is not fall into A. You would have given for the D or C, then it might have performed better instead of giving the wrong information. So you have to give the correct information. And if you have less than equal to 5 tuple, other things are same, then it will give the result within 2 milliseconds with few fields. If you have more fields, it will give within 5 milliseconds. If you have service quality C, you can have up to 15 table, and you can have function call as well. If it is not specified, means you can have the function call as well. You can have some functions. If you have some functions which you are using, and aggregation again not allowed. Aggregation not allowed means if you are aggregating the data on using the sum function and count, aggregation not allowed again specifically if you have aggregating the data on more number of lines, that aggregation is not allowed. Normal aggregation is allowed everywhere. For example, if you have VBAK and VBAP you are joining, you are aggregating the data of VBAP. For one sales order only have 10 line item to aggregate, or 15 line item to up to 10 line item, or 12 line item to aggregate, that you can use. But if you have for one sales order 100 and 1000 line item, you should not use this ABC. the aggregation will not work perfectly. If you have few line item to aggregate for each line in the header table, then you can use the aggregation. Otherwise you should not use the aggregation. Aggregation is not allowed. There is specifically line is written, you should not aggregate more number of lines. That line is written. I will show you in the documentation as well, and then I will come back to here. So that we will go more on when we give the annotation for our application as well. The next point, buffering is not specified, means it can be buffered or not buffered, it does not matter. And this will matter for type C again within 10 millisecond and 20 millisecond if you are giving the up to 15 table. And 100 table if you are not able to, if you have mixed data category also. There is a specific role regarding the data category. I didn't put, I think it didn't care. In these three, the data category should not be mixed. But in D, it can be mixed data category. Either in ABC, it should be either one kind of data. Either it should be master data or it should be transactional data. But in D, it should be mixed data category only. It can be mixed data category. You can have the transactional data as well and master data together. And X and P, avoid to use. Use always A to D. You will never have any CDS with more than 100 table, I'm sure. As of now in my real-time scenario. Okay, so this A to D is more than enough for us. I forgot to add one data category column that I will explain further when we go to the F1 help, and then we will see. This plan with again ST05 trace I will show you in the system. Before we will jump into the system, we will, whatever we discuss in the theory part, I will try to show in the system as well. I have concluded already my RAP process order application in my last video, which is the one of the real-time scenario which I have explained in one of the playlist. If you didn't watch that playlist, I recommend you to watch, where I have explained a lot of concepts regarding the data modeling, regarding the virtual element, the action button, how the new requirements can come and how we have to handle. But in this video, I don't want to make that application specific. I want to generalize that particular this particular application, how we can, any application, how we can improve the performance, or how we can improve the performance of the any CDS view. I'm not using exactly that application. In that application, we were only fetching the few fields, but I have already the final version of that particular application. I will use that one and I will try to explain the performance things. I didn't put all the 40 fields here because that was not required. There were no additional concept. There was just additional associations and we were fetching the data from those additional association. That is the reason I didn't complete that application, because that was unnecessary repeating the things. So I have the final version of that particular application. I will try to explain those performance related aspects in this particular X instead of using those other CDS. So let me open first my consumption CDS view of this particular. The naming convention I have changed. Instead of the RAM, I have put everywhere PTP, so I can create the new objects over there. So this is the final version of my application. Let me open this one. You can see the more fields here. Some of more fields we have, and I did little bit tricks due to I want to improve the performance. First thing, the cast operation which I was using for the operation number. Why we were using the cast operation for the operation? If you watch that playlist, you already know, because we want to, the alpha conversion will not work automatically in the O data whenever you create. So you have to cast explicitly in another data type where the alpha conversion is not there. Otherwise your O data service call will fail. So that is the reason we need to do cast operation. That cast operation I was doing at the base level. You should not do, either you have to do at the interface CDS view level or your consumption level, because I want to, whenever sometimes some user fetch that particular field and sometimes the operation number is not fetched by the user. So that is the reason I put at the consumption layer. If user will not fetch that particular field, then that particular cast operation will not unnecessarily performed on that particular field. This is the one of the change I have did. Apart from that, if you go to my interface CDS view, again this consumption view, I have all the 40 fields again not all the 40 field, we have the 35 field. Out of 35 field, if we have multiple user, again I'm telling, you can create on top of this particular interface view multiple consumption view based on the users. If you have one country user or one region user only using always 20 fields, and another region people only using another 20 fields, there can be some common field because the process order detail will be the common. Other some users use the data. For example, if I go to the interface CDSU and I will go one more layer bit deeper, that is the base CDSU JRPTP process order, where we have most of the associations. Some users are not getting the goods movement details, or they don't need the LTEC data, or they don't need the bulk material detail and the PDP production. These are all the detail they don't need. They need only the some of the fields from AUFK, AFPO, and some of the fields from the work center table. And here they don't need those all the fields from this which is coming from the associations. So in that case, for those users, why you have to calculate and do the associations and joins, and you have to get the data, you just avoid those fields in those consumption view. In that way, for those users, the performance will be better and they will get the quicker data. Then whoever want that particular data, for them we can do those operations. For doing that, your modeling will be should be very good. Not if you do not model properly, then it will. For example, this is the one of the base CDSU. I created this base CDSU via joining the AUFK and AFKO table, and I have the AU type, order type, filter as well. Apart from the process order detail, that is the header detail, I did each and every detail which I am getting from the other table. For example, some of the detail I am getting from the just table, take-o and closed order is there or not. Some of the table from the process order line item table, again AFPO table. Some detail I am getting from the MSEC table. Some data I am getting from the MAKTX material tax. I am getting some TVRVC table also I am using here. LTEC table, iProduct scheduling profiling text. These again for getting the profiling text, we PCMH table and PCMG table, I have another CDS. I did all the association, but if you see in the field list, I'm getting the data from only AUFK and AFKO table. That's it. Or one AFPO as well I'm getting. These three tables, because based on AFPO further I have another association also. So mainly because whenever I will be getting the process order detail, I will be getting definitely header and line item. Some detail I will get, I know. But other things, sometime I will need it. For some user those field might be needed. For some user those field not be needed. So you should not consume all the association. Instead of that, you have to expose those associations. Each and every association which is not needed, might be needed or might not be needed, you have to expose those associations. In base CDSU, means most of them master data related thing will be there, might be transactional data also will be there, but might be we need those transactional data. Sometime we don't need other time. So that is the reason I have exposed all the CDS. But in the interface layer, I have consumed each and everything. I didn't further expose, but interface layer, I have consumed whatever the operation I have to perform, some case statement I have to write, or some cast operation I have to do, some call as function I have to do. Each and everything I have done in my interface VDS view. You should not do all the calculation on the base layer. If you do those things in the base layer, means you are consuming already those associations here itself. What is the advantage of doing like this? When you consume those particular, on top of that, when you create the projection view, if you have created some projection view with the sum of the fields, which we are not consuming other consumed CDS view here, we are not fetching those fields. In that case, that particular association will not happen, because those again, if you see, so SQL create statement, it's joining only these two table, other things it is not joining here. You can see here it joined because we have fetched the fields. But when you actually consuming the field, if you right click on there, so SQL is create statement, you are only joining the particular your consumption view, from this interface view, you are getting these all the fields. Some of the fields you didn't get, suppose. Some of the fields, if you didn't get from this particular field, in that case, those particular association will not happen, and the association will not happen, then again, once association will not happen, then in that case you will get the better performance. This is one thing. When you do the data modeling, we have to think that all the things, I might be done a little bit wrong way, but whenever we are doing those things, we have to make sure if some user is really need that particular field, then only that join should happen. Okay, that is the one thing. And anyway, calculated field we can't avoid. Even some of the field, you have to do those calculation, then only it will work. And some of the association here also you will expose, and you can consume those expose association in the consumptions layer as well. In that way, those further zone you can avoid. But some of the time we are not able to directly, because this case statement and those function we can't write at the consumption layer. Those should be always in the interface layer. If you try to write also, you will get the error, you will be not able to write. So if you have direct data fetching part, just expose here as well, or you directly consume here, underscore dot, and directly consume here. If you consume really those CDS views, then only you will get those data, otherwise you will not get data. In my case, I no need to worry, because user told me most of the time I will be needing out of 40 field 35 field. So I told, okay, we will expose all the fields, no need to worry. But in your case, there might be the little bit different. You have to tick your requirement. You might not have some of the fields which you directly consume here, you should not consume there, and you have to expose here, or you have to consume those fields here instead of consuming in the interface CDS view. It will perform little bit better for your case. This is the data modeling part. The second part related to the annotation. One more thing I just want to explain. Initially, when I have explained this particular application, I have used the for this also inner zone when I am combining. Then later I have converted to the association, but the data filtering is happening here. AU type equal to 40, because in my report was having the inner zone. I don't want to go in that detail, but somebody watched my playlist. I converted into the association, and I put the where condition here to further filter out data. Because why I did, because somebody didn't fetch any data from this itself, then at least they are fetching only data from these two association. In that case, they will get little bit better performance. You have to think out in all possible ways, and then you have to do the data modeling. The last thing, the most important thing, the annotation part. One is this particular data modeling part, which didn't help me much, because they need most of the time all the fields, so that didn't help me at all. But this particular, the annotations I have given for each and everything. For example, this is again one more thing I will explain, but this CDS I have created later. Instead of this, first I have created one CDS table function to combine all the status. That is again different story. When I will explain the plan with, then I will explain that thing. But till now, suppose you have created the CDS, I want to give the data. You can see service I have used by default initially. Then I have converted this particular things to the, if I do the F8 here, let's see if how many number of records are there. 100 records are retrieved. Let me get more records. So it 33 millisecond it took for the 293 rows. There is no much data in the system. That is the reason it is taking, we will be not able to differentiate that more here. But here you have to use the service quality appropriately. First, the data class. I know the JS table. If you don't know the JS table, what is the data category? I know in my case it is the transactional table. You have to go to the JS table. You have to go, either you can go to the properties, or you can open in the SAP GUI if you have that facility, and you go to the technical setting, where you can see this is the one they are telling, this is the transactional table, and I have only one table over here where I'm getting the data, and that is also the transactional table only. So I have to give the data class as a transactional instead of the mixed, because I'm getting the data from the one table only, and that is also transactional table. that is only transactional table. Let me give transactional table here. Control space, you can give. There are other data categories. I just want to use the transactional table. The size category. In this case, you might see the very less number of data. Obviously, you will get only very less number of data in this case. But when you get the data from the JS table, the JS table is very huge. This CDS will return the very less data. You can make that a size category of this CDS once it is executed, but we have to make sure that on the which table we are hitting that particular how many entries are possible, because this table is a status table. Again, this will contain lot of status apart from the process order. It have the production order and other details also. If you see the real-time production, in the production, the JS table, it is very huge. So to making sure it is very used, I can give the size category as Excel. Then service quality, again we are hitting only one table. And one more thing, I'm using the aggregation here. So I was not able to decide initially what exactly I have to give. So for that purpose, what I did, so I did the F1 here. Simply thing we have to do F1. You no need to come again and again some documentation everywhere. So this particular annotation I have given for the view entity. So you can open the DDIC based CDS also if you have created DDIC based CDS also. But I created the CDS view entity, so I will go in the CDS view entity and let me minimize this one. So you can see you will get each and every detail. For the transactional data, if I increase little bit here, you can see the default category is the mixed. If you don't give anything, it will take as a mixed. What if you use default value is if you not used, and if you use without value also, then it will give the mixed. And otherwise you can give these all the categories which I have explained you in my theory part also: transactional, master, organizational data, customize and metadata, and mixed data category. So I have given the transactional, that is correctly. A CDS view entity can be assigned to one of the following. I will explain service quality a little bit later, but I can explain first the size category. The small size category, the expected size of data volume that need to be scanned is less than 1000. The final result we should not see. You have to make sure how much data you need to scan, that you have to give, that you have to see. For example, in the JS table, how many entries will be there? You should not say I have put the where condition, I just need the 3 status. It will be very less only. You should think for getting this 3 condition, how much data you have to scan. Based on that, you have to do the size category. So in this case, the size category will be Excel. I know the JS table is very huge. It will contain the huge data based on the production system to production system. You can go to your production system or quality system. It is copy of the production system and see how many entries are there. Based on that, you can decide and think about the future and give this particular size category. Once you gave the size category based on this, small means 1000, and then 1 lakhs, 1 crores, and then 100 crores, and something like that you have given. So in the same way, it will basically increase with 2 zeros with each size category. So in my case, I thought, and it was Excel based on my production. That is the reason I have given Excel here. The last but most important thing, you have to think it out, how much data you are going to scan, not your result. You should not think result. You might be getting only 30 entries or 35 entries. For getting those 35 entries, you might be process the millions of records. Then based on the millions of records, you have to give your service size category, not based on the result you have to give. That is very important thing. Again, whenever we use, I saw a lot of videos, I saw a lot of documentation, they just explain you have to use Excel, but I always get confused which size category use, based on what I have to use. My CDS is returning 30. Can I use small here? If you use small, it will create again blunder. You will not get any performance related benefit. Okay, now the most important thing is the service quality. Once you decided this one, the service quality will decide how much performance you will get. But for that also you have to follow the things. So this detail I copy pasted from here only, nowhere else. I got from here, I did F1, just copy pasted in my PPT. So that is the reason whenever you face issue, you have some doubt, just do F1, get this documentation and decide based on your CDS view. Again, when we decide this one, the service quality, a CDS view entity can be used for high volume transaction or for the background. So this is again, I put the same thing, how you have to use this particular CDS. The quality of service with respect to the performance that can be expected by the consumer CDSU entity. When this service quality will give, how much performance you will get, that will be decided here. One of these quality, this is not much important here. By default it is X service quality, and that you should not use at all. You should use always A to D. And but the important thing lies here whenever you use the service quality. So this is, I talk about first one by one, because this is very important thing whenever you do the you decide your service quality. The first thing, when you can decide the service quality is A. It should be not more than 3 table. I put in the tabular format, but I am explaining again. There should be less than equal to 3 table. In my case, only 1 table is there. Must not call any function. I am not calling any function. This is the functions, but these are the aggregated function. For that, again, there is a one condition we have given: must not aggregate the large number of table rows for the direct access. In my case, in the JS table, for that particular object number, there are might be case you have one particular object number, there might be 20 records or 30 records. In some cases the status are changes frequently, so in that case the number of entries are increased. So ideally I should not use A, but if you think in your production, for that particular process order, most of the time not more than 10 or 12 entries only there for that particular object number, not more than that, then you can use here A as well. That is very important thing. How many entries you are aggregating, it depends on that. These are the aggregated function, not the other function. We are talking about must not aggregate the large number of table rows for the direct access. We are doing the aggregation only here. We are just getting the max number out once we get the data, but the line item data for that particular object number which we want to get the status, those lines should not be more. So that is the important. If you have less line, then you use A, otherwise no other way you have to use the D directly without thinking, because the aggregation is used only in the D's. But for other all A, B, C, the aggregation should not be done on the number of entries more. So I can give A in my scenario. Most of the time, for that particular process order, the number of entries for the status in the JS table was less, so I decided to give A. But again, it can hamper the performance. If you feel that in your case it is D, then you have to give D only. So this is how I have decided all the quality of how my performance of the CDS will be done. So I can do Control F3. So before going for other CDS, I just want to explain the other few things. What is the difference between the first and second? Only one difference is there. Instead of, if you have less than equal to 3 table, if you have 5 table, then you can go for the B table. It will take little bit more time. But most important thing you have to make sure that if the underlying table is buffered, that is fine. The runtime single line with the fully specified must be less than 1 millisecond. But there is one more important thing: the must not access the DDIC database table with the mixed data category. The data category should be the either transactional, or it can be master or customized, but single data category. It should not be the mixed data category here. It should not contain the transactional along with the master data. In that case also you will be not able to use ABC. Here also that condition is there. In the third also it is the table mixed data category, you can't use ABC. You have to use the D only. So you have to make sure. In this case, I only have the transactional table, I can use A also. So that is, I didn't include it in my table which I have created, but this is also important aspect when you consider the performance. I know this video is going a little bit bigger, but I just want to explain all the things so you will not have confusion, or you no need to watch any other video after watching this video. I might have missed something, or I might have explained wrongly something. If you will like that, you can write it down in comment section, so I can improvise myself as well. Sometimes when we read the theory, we explain I can understand in different way, and you can understand in different way when you read these lines. Initially, when I read that must not be aggregated the large number of table for direct access, I understood like that I can't use any aggregation or any other function. But when I little bit read one more time or three times, then I realize you can aggregate, but the number of entries where you are aggregating, those should not be more. Again, I read 2-3 times, then only I realize this thing. Then I change the again service quality to A. Otherwise, this constraint in each and everything, I have to use D only. If this condition, this whatever I'm explaining, this is wrong, then I have to use D. There is no. Where we are doing the aggregation, the number of rows where we are doing the aggregation, those rows should not be more. That you have to make sure. Let me move to the other CDS view. Other things are similar, you can read it out. That's similar. The most of the time we have to use ABCD. If you have these all the things you are following and tables are more, then you have to give either B or C. If you have more than 15 table, you have to give C. If you have less than 5 table equal to 5, B, and less than equal to 3, then A. Otherwise you have to go for the D. There is no other way. Apart from D, you should not use X or P. ABCD is enough for us. Okay, let me move to the other CDS views. Let me go there. Let me go for the GRPTP production. Again, I'm getting the data from the two table. Here, one more important thing. I'm getting the data from PCMP and PCMH. If you go and technical setting of these tables, you will find that those both are the transactional tables. So you can use here transactional table instead of mixed data category. And the result, the number of entries in both the tables are also less. Even these are the transactional table, but the production campaign data which they have is very less data in my system. So I use the small category, or you can use the, if you have more data, then you can use the large or medium also. Let me use, instead of a small, let me use medium. One layer upper is always better, because small means 1000 entries only. In future it can be increased. And service quality, what will be the service quality? Both are the transactional table. I'm fitting two tables only. I'm not doing any aggregation. I'm just getting the simple data. Definitely I will use A only here. There is no other way. So I will use A. Obviously my front end is behaving 5 minutes, so obviously I want to improve everywhere the performance where I can improve. So I will use here A, so it will perform better, and database analyzer will give me result as fast as. If I use X, obviously it will take time. Let me go on my third CDS view. Let me, something I missed. I have given here already. The same way, this is the again the CDS table function. You don't have any control. You can't give any service quality. That is function that will be run by the data optimizer. You don't have any option to give the service quality. But for this GRPTP one, I can give for this one. This is having a lot of association. Obviously, this is the mixed data category, because I'm getting the transactional data as well from some of the. But the important thing again, you should not see the associations here. You should see only the joins where you are getting the data. For the association where you are getting the data, there you already define those all the service qualities. This for all this CDS view. You have to see only the table where you are getting the data, not your associations. That is again very important, very most important thing. So that is the reason these both tables are only the transactional table. I will go for the transactional table. Again, size category, there can be the millions of production order in the system. So I can give with the large or extra large based on how many orders are there. Then the service quality, I expect it should return me A service quality, because I have only two tables and both are from the same category. I'm not doing any aggregation here. So that is the reason aggregation part I have moved everything, all the calculation part I have moved to the interface CDS view. So I don't have any calculation here. So definitely I will, even I have used data here. I just did the join and got the data. So that is the again advantage of doing the better data modeling. even you are getting all the data from the all the data, but it will fetch faster because I didn't do any aggregation, so I no need to compromise with the D. I have to do with A. I can do with A. Once the data is get in one CDS, finally where we have the ZI PTP process order, I can give there as a D. And the data is this is the again accumulated data. It can be lesser. So based on that, once you filter out the data, that might be the case in this layer, the data can decrease or increase. Based on that, these both tables and the result data, how many data work center is the very few work centers are there, 5 or 6 work center, but the result of this particular CDS will decide the size category. But in my case, there is a huge data again coming from this CDS as well, or it might be reduced because I have put the order type as a 40 in this particular CDS view. Then based on that, you can do the size category also. And again, the data category here will be definitely mixed because I have the master data also and the transactional data, both kind of data is there. And based on that, you can do for each and every CDS, you have to define your service quality. Definitely it will improve the performance. You can check that one once you apply and without apply as well. I was not able to show you here again because I don't have the use data. If I try to do also, I will very negligible difference will be there, and sometime you will get almost equal only. So I don't want to do that, and I don't have those data also. If I do F8 here for this application, because it's a final version, in this CDS I will not get any data, but I can see, oh, I'm getting some data, then definitely I will try it out here as well. So let me show you guys. Oh, I got only 82 record, but it took 1 second, 754 millisecond. Give me 1 second. Let me change this CDS category and try it out, how much data it will take. Where it is. So in this case, it will not, this is mixed data category, but size is also small is fine because in my data, but service quality, I can give instead of X, I can give the D. Because X we should not give, so D is the better service quality for this CDS view. Once I give D, control F3 I can do, and let me execute one more time here, F8. So how many? The little bit improved, 772 second. Previously it was 1 second, 754 millisecond, and this time it took me 772 millisecond only, not even 1 second. It will improve definitely when you change the, and you can try out if you have used data in particular CDS view, there you will see the significant difference. So always use the proper service object model category annotations. Now let's move to the third part of our the plan whiz, that is also very important. You did the data modeling properly, you assigned each and every CDS view proper quality or performance related annotation. Still your application is not behaving what you expect, it is taking more time in quality. What you can do in that case, we have to find out first. You can go to the interface CDS view or your consumption CDS view, right click on that, type PTP process order. You can right click on that and open with dependency analyzer. Once you open that particular CDS view in dependency analyzer, there is something called the complexity matrix is there. You can see in this complexity matrix that how your CDS is complex, but I can't see anything here, database tables and all statics. Let me double click on this. Ideally I should able to see how many database table I'm fetching, how many database views are there, how many CDS view with parameter, everything I should able to see here. And you can see the SQL dependency tree as well here, but that also I'm not able to see. I'm not sure why. Let me open one more time. Right click, open with dependency analyzer. CDSU. This is saying dependency can only be calculated for CDSU. GIPTP process order, that is also CDSU only. Why it is not calculating, I'm not sure. Might be they are expecting here, because it's a version is less, that they are expecting us it should be DDIC based CDSU. No need to worry. You can see here as well. Once you will open, you will see how many and what is the complexity. You can analyze further your application where the performance intensive things are there. Based on that, you can further improve that. If you are not able to improve that also, the last and final things what you have to do, you have to open your ST05. That is the our final thing, or we can say Brahmastra. Alt F8 and open the ST05 here. Okay, so let me what it got opened. Alt F8 ST05 trace and activate your trace. Come to your consumption CDSU, do F8 and try to get as many as record. Here put 10,000. In my case I'm getting only 82 rows, so no need to worry. Deactivate the trace and the display trace. Once you display trace and execute here, you will see how many tables you have faced on, but you have to go to directly your consumption CDSU. Somewhere you will able to see, or you can, if you do the descending order, this also you will find your CDSU quickly. But you can find CDSU where, yeah, this one here. You can see most of the time consumed here. You can filter out on this particular CDSU. Select this one and right click here, with session variable or without session variable, anything you can click, and download the plan with file. That is very important. It will give us detail that in this CDS also there are multiple CDS, so you can save XMLV. I already saved one time. Let me save another file _1, and you can save like that. It will be saved here. Like that you have to save your application, and this file should be there. To open this file, you can see, read out this statement. It is download successfully. For graphical display, please open in the HANA Studio or SQL Analyzer. There is one more thing you can do. You can go here. If you have that WebDentro application is activated, you can go to the edit display execution plan and select statement without session variable, also fine, and you can click on graphical explain. It will open this particular thing in your WebDentro application, but in my case it is not. So you can see it opened in Internet Explorer. Let me go to the more information, go to the web page, but it is telling forbidden, and you will be able to see here that particular thing. I'm not able to see here. I will show you the same thing in the BAS, Business Application Studio. So let's go to the BAS, or there is one another way also. You can go to the HANA Studio, there also you can see. But one another way you have, if you have the perspective called HANA perspective, there also you can see. Let me check. In my case, we have in this system that perspective or not. Open perspective other. I don't have. Let me install that perspective also, and let me do in the HANA Studio also. Both the places where you can analyze this particular file. I will show you both the places. To install the HANA perspective, let me show you that also. How we can install the HANA perspective. You can go to the perspective, or you have to go help and install new software. There you have already, you are using that. You might be using this latest version of the HANA on demand tool. In the latest version only the ABAP is available, not the HANA one. So you come to this HANA on demand site, go to the HANA tab instead of the ABAP tab, and you can see which version is available already. So in currently 2024 12 version is available. You can come here, instead of latest you can write 2024 12 and click on enter. This time you will be able to see, apart from ABAP perspective, you can see the SAP HANA tools also. You have to just select the SAP HANA tool, that is more than enough, and click on next button. if you are aware about this perspective, if you're working with the most of the time calculation view, analytical view, those HANA database things, nowadays it is not required. Most of the things we do from the application server, CDSU and IMDP itself, so that is the reason it is not required. But for plant viz we need this tool as well. So let's get installed. Parallelly we will see how we have to do in BAS as well. So open your trial account, go to your BAS application. You already have you might have already for the creating the Fiori application, one dev space is there. You have to create new dev space this time, but this time you have to create for the HANA, and you have to use the SAP HANA native application instead of the SAP Fiori application to analyze this plan base. And you have to click on the create dev space. So here you can select further, we have SAP HANA tools. Something called, where it went, give me 1 second. SAP HANA performance tool, sorry. So you can select this one and create dev space. Let's wait for this as well and this as well. In Eclipse it got installed. Let's click on finish button. Sorry, it started installing. It's a 16% done, but I can see BAS is already given us the HANA analyzer where we can analyze the performance related thing. So you have to create this dev space. You in trial account also you can create maximum 2 dev space. You can create the trial account. So one of them, this one you can create, and you can load your plan with file here and analyze your data. So let's wait for open it up. Once you open in BAS, it will look like this. You have to click on OK button. My Eclipse also have installed, and it is asking for the restart. Let me restart this one, and here I can open. You have to click on your Explorer, and you can open from here as well. You can click on go to file, welcome, get started, or open any folder also if you are already aware about that. Open folder, and always try to open the home folder or user folder directly. So it is asking for which folder you want to open. You can click on home. Inside home you can open user as well. Let me open the home folder and click on OK button. So you will come to here. Once you come here, you can come to the user, right click on the projects and right click here, and here you have to upload your file. Right click on upload, and you will see your plan viz. You have to select your plan viz and click on open button. Once you click on open button, it will open the query analyzer here. So wait for a few seconds. Once it is uploaded, you can see here. Here meanwhile my Eclipse also restarted. Let me go again here. So you can see Open SQL Analyzer. You have to click on the Open SQL Analyzer. It will load your entire file, and it will show you in the graphical format. Meanwhile, parallelly, I will open the Windows perspective, open perspective, other. Now I can see SAP HANA development perspective with plan viz. You have to select this one, and you have to click on open. Let me open parallelly. Yeah, the master password will be created. It will say, let me give some passwords here. Meanwhile, let me come here. It opened already in the BAS. You can see the BAS one. You can see the graphical format. I will explain this quickly, and I will load where I actually face the issue, that particular file. But before that, I just want to come here. You can open it up here, and you can see the entire flow, how your plan or query is executing. So you can decrease little bit this one. It is not required, or this is also not required. Then you can decrease this also. You can just have to click here. It will give the process wise detail, and you can see entire file, or you can move here and there how your query is executing currently. You can see each step by step. So basically in the HANA SQL, how it is getting executed, your CDS view, entire CDS view, you can see one by one here. So at the bottom, wherever you can see the column search, it's basically individual CDS view, how it is hitting. Then you have the column search, on top of the CDS, the column search is happening. And on top of that, text plan operator wrapper is working. Then finally, they are combining the data in your from the multiple CDS view, what all are the data is coming, that got combined, and the temporary indexes are created, and again column search is happening, and finally you are displaying the data. But based on this yellow, green and black button, you can see where it is taking more time. So most of the places milliseconds times it is taking, because we don't have that much performance issue. It got quickly executed within 80 milliseconds, so you can't identify here anything. But I have one more file where we have performance intensive calculation, which I got from one of my projects, so that I try to upload and show you how you can analyze further. This is entire, you can see in the HANA as well, but if you go open here in the Eclipse, that also I will show you. Before that, let me give the question and answer. Now I came to the HANA plan with perspective. You have to go to file, open file, and the same file you can open here as well. You have to go to downloads, and I have uploaded this one. This is the main file which I'm gonna explain, but before that, let me explain this only, how you can see your plan is okay. Again, there is some issue in this system also. I'm not able to see, I don't have any authorization to view this particular file. You might get the SU53 screenshot, you can take up and you get this authorization. Best way, no need to struggle here or in the graphical view in the web intro. Go to your bus, that is the freely available. You can load your file and work with that file. That is the best way. So now instead of showing this particular file, I will upload my own file for the same application, but where have the large data. So let me load again another file. Let me close this one, close this also, come to the files, and in the project only I will upload another file. There is somewhere upload file option is there, and I will select the file which have the performance issue and click on open button. It will take little bit time because it's very huge file with a lot of data. And you can click on the open SQL analyzer to see this particular file. It will load the same graphical way. All are the CDS view which I have shown you in my final application. You will be able to see here. So let it open. Wait for some time because it's a 21 MB file or 23 MB file. It will take little bit time. It got open. You can further drill down here and you can minimize this. You can minimize this also to see properly, or you can do here and there in the graphical view to see all the data. You can see the red line where the data is taking more time. You can see this is your final analyzer. So how the query is getting executed. Let me close this one so we can see properly data. So you have to focus on the red line. So where the red line is coming from. So you will get to know the red line is coming from this particular CDS. Everywhere it is taking 1.321 millisecond or 0.75 millisecond. That is fine for me. But here it is taking in one place 518 second out of 5 minutes, or in this case it took execution 2 minutes. Out of total 2 minutes, it is taking 518 second here itself. Then I realized my entire CDS is fine, only this CDS is having the issue, which was the CDS table function which I have created. That I have created is part of my project also, which when I have shown you this real-time demo application. Let me go to the ABAP perspective again, where it is taking time, that I want to show you. F5 let me do here to load all the objects, including that CDS table function which is causing the issue. I think that was process determination. No, there is status, something is there. PTP one I don't want to show you. I want to show you this one, which I have shown you, real-time project, order status table function. If I open this order status table function and see the code of the order status table function, I'm hitting the JS table. Instead of hitting directly JS table to get the technically closed and deleted order and the status in the concatenated format, I wrote the code here. But due to this particular JS table, two things are happening. One, this is the table which I am using, that is the buffer table on the application server. Second thing, the JS table, whenever I am hitting this string operation and this particular aggregation is happening, it is happening on the use data, because JS table is having, as I told you, use data. To resolve this issue, I don't want to call like this. This is taking the huge time. Out of 5 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes is taking to execute this CDS table function only. So what I have to do now, user want this functionality in front end. They want to see the status of the process order in the concrete format in comma separated list, as I shown you in my previous video. If you didn't watch the real-time project, there you have seen. But I got to know this CDS table function is creating the issue. Somehow I have to correct the CDS function, or I have to remove this one, and instead of that I have to do the alternative function. So what I did, instead of this CDS function, basically the CDS function is giving 4 details. One is the order is takeoff closed or not, or order is deleted or not, and the status message for this particular process order, what all are the status are there. It is deleted, closed, takeoff in comma separated. One string is formed and it is returning this one. So I want to apply the alternative solution. Then for that, what I did, instead of using this CDS table function, in my final application, if you see, I have created the one alternative CDS view for getting the status, takeoff and closed order. This is not doing all 3 things. This is doing only 2 things. One thing, to get the either takeoff and closed order are there or not, or deleted order or not. Deleted order I'm getting as a flag, as a X. In that way, half functionality I did using this particular CDS view. And here this is performance wise good, because I'm the service quality, I'm using A, and just I'm getting the large category and transactional data is there. That way also fine. Even it took time, not 500 seconds. Once I done the performance analyze, again I ran the SQL whiz, it only took 3 or 4 seconds instead of now currently, if you see, it is taking 518 seconds. 4 seconds it took instead of 518 seconds when I did the performance analyzer again to execute this CDS. But one functionality is still pending. I was not able to get this status which I was able to get before. This status text, which is basically we were using the aggregation, string aggregation, to concatenate all the status and display in final one string. Now I can't use the CDS table function and I need the status as well. Then I realize I can use the virtual element. So if you see in my current projection view, virtual elements, then I realize it is not always the performance wise, not always that is bad. Sometime to achieve the functionality and to avoid the performance hamper, we can use the virtual element. This is again one of the things I was always thinking before, the virtual element we should not use, but this kind of places virtual element can save you. How it got saved? I have used the virtual element to display that status description. And in this class, if you open this class, which I have used for the virtual element, lot of things are going from above your head. If you didn't follow in my real-time project series, that I can't do anything, because I just want to show you what I have done. So you have to go through that series if you didn't go through. So in that one, if I do F5, where I'm reading the text, ZCL read text in the virtual element, I was already reading the alt text from the read text. Apart from that alt text, oh god, not this one, in my final order I want to see, so it will be somewhere here. F5 I have to do to load the entire data. I don't want to see CDS, I want to see the class library, read text, and the previously I used for the alt text only, but after that I used not only for the alt text I have used for the status description only. I hit here the JS table, whatever the status I have required. This is already buffer table on the application server. Then again I can hit multiple time because it is buffer table. But JS table is not buffer table, but I got. But how the performance got improved? Because I am executing this particular method to get the status whatever I'm displaying in the front end. Suppose I'm displaying in front end 56 entries. For 56 entries only I am getting the data of that status. For other entries I'm not getting this status data. So it is not evaluating for the entire data available in the database, only for the entries which is displayed in the front end. For that only that got evaluated and displayed in the front end. This is how somehow I implemented the functionality also in my application, and I saved that much time. It reduced from 2.5 minutes to the 30 seconds. So this much reduction happened once I have analyzed the where it is actually taking time. You can see the time, you can see the how much time it is taking and which CDS is taking, you can see here, and wherever the column search is there or analytical search is there. And for getting the CDS they have another CDS because you are using the association. From there also you can see how much time it is taking. I improved this one. I improved other CDS also. This also have improved when I use the annotations, proper annotations. This other CDS also got reduced. It came to the milliseconds instead of the 2 seconds and 1 seconds. So this is how I have improved the performance. You have to analyze this graph properly and you have to see which CDS is causing the issue. I was not aware. I thought CDS table is work like hell. Is for the SAP CDS function, CDS table function. You have to use CDS table function or IMDP if you want to do the performance intensive calculation. But in this case, since the data was used, I was analyzing entire data using the CDS table function. Somehow my performance got hampered. So I removed that CDS table function. I use another CDS view to get the deleted and takeout that I can easily get. I created that CDS table function only for the status, not for the takeout. Since I was hitting that same JS table, so I will get the deleted and takeout order as well. But for that I created the separate CDS JS, and only for status I created this particular virtual element, and this is how I got saved from the performance improvement. With that we come to at the end of our video. This is how you have to analyze your CDS view. You have to get the detail, you have to improve your CDS view performance and see how your application performing. Instead of in 5 minutes, it will get performed in 30 seconds. With that, please like this video, share these videos with others as well, wherever the ABAP community is there, and write it down whatever you are feeling about this video. I know this video was very long and I have created in one sitting. Might be it will be here and there, but whatever you are feeling about this video, what I can improve further, please write it down in comment section. With that, thank you and happy learning.